it makes such a huge difference, the perspective that you have going into something challenging, and it can affect your enjoyment. It can affect, I think, how whether or not you reach a goal or don't reach a goal. And today we're just going to talk a little bit about, maybe some of our experiences and some things that we've learned that you guys can apply that I think can really, really help you guys.
Yeah, I just kind of want to share a little story with everyone listening about mindset and just a few things that I think make up mindset. And you can add to what you think makes up mindset, but I know you're going to remember this. When I met Patrick, I had painted my room lime green, like bright green. And it was very loud, would you say?
Obnoxious.
Obnoxious is fair. And I loved it, but I was feeling really overwhelmed in my life. And at this time, I was working 2 jobs. I was trying to qualify for the CrossFit Games. And I don't think this paint color was helping me relax at night. It's kind of funny though, because we also chose this paint color as our supplement color now of our Ibex brand, which is my favorite color, and it's great.
Accent color, not supplement color.
Accent color, sorry. So
colors aren't your thing. It's a little bit different. It definitely had nothing to do with your bedroom color, but when we first started dating and I saw your room, I was like, oh my gosh, like this might be a red flag that like this is not going to be a good match for me, because I can't imagine anybody that paints their bedroom bright lime green to be like that's how you go to sleep at night. I'm like, this girl is out of her mind.
Definitely out of my mind when it comes to fitness, because I love fitness. No, but we did end up repainting the room into like a really nice, soft color that was very calming. And I was like, wow, I can't believe just flipping the paint color, changing this paint color can have this much effect on my mood. And when we did change that paint color, we also hung this clear plexiglass board that I still have a picture of somewhere. And this has really shaped the foundation for me and continuing to build mindset. And on that board, when I was training for my first CrossFit Games, I knew that I was willing to work really hard, but I didn't actually know at the time how hard it was going to be. And you helped me come up with these 4 things that I really feel like set the stage and the foundation for this journey that I've been on and just for building a strong mindset. And those 4 things were patience, which we'll get into, having a positive attitude, hard work, and dedication/discipline. Those can kind of go together. And those 4 things are something that I find that I constantly come back to when I'm thinking about mindset and what people can apply to their lives to make their mindset better and stronger.
It makes such a big difference for you and the people around you that if you go into it with a positive attitude, it's like you're choosing to do this anyway. You might as well let it be enjoyable rather than be miserable about it. And for us specifically, it was like we were taking chances, but like you can't complain about those chances. You're taking them knowingly. So it's like you should be excited about it because you're choosing to do this.
Yeah, and I definitely agree. I think a positive attitude can be very hard at times. And I think that's what really makes it part of that mindset is that maybe you're in work and you got passed up from this promotion that you feel like that was yours. You deserve that. And continuing to have a positive attitude as you continue to work so you can still get a promotion can be really challenging. Or showing up to the gym on a day that maybe you don't feel like it, which we're going to get into, or showing up and feeling amazing and then missing your lifts. And you're like, I don't understand. I've been working so hard. How am I missing these lifts? And then that positive attitude just spirals and it becomes negative. And then you take it into other areas of your life. And now that one lift that you missed is affecting other areas of your life and potentially your relationships. And I think that by just reframing and looking at the attitude that we have, because we should be embracing the opportunities and the struggles and the challenges, it can really reframe certain experiences that we go through.
Personally, I don't have a whole lot of tolerance for negative attitudes. I don't think it's enjoyable to be around. I don't think anybody thinks it's enjoyable to be around. And especially when it's something that's self-inflicted because you're going to chase a goal. And again, that can be losing weight, going to the gym, that could be anything. But when you are choosing to better yourself and challenge yourself to do something positive, being negative about it's like nobody wants that. So just don't, basically. And I feel pretty strongly about that.
Patrick definitely feels strongly about that. For those of you guys listening, there's plenty of times I'll give a couple personal backstories. We've been at the games and I come off the floor and something didn't go my way. And I'm just like sulking and crying or, just feeling sorry for myself in the back. My head's down between my knees. I'm just frustrated and I'm just mad. And it's one event out of 15. And Patrick will come back and he'll give me a hug and he'll be very positive and he's smiling and he'll find the positives and he's understanding I'm just not having it. And there's been certain times where I'm just not having it. And he'll look at me and be like, okay, you take 2 minutes and then you need to move on. And I can't tell you how beneficial that is. It's like, yes, acknowledge the experience. Acknowledge maybe something that didn't go your way, but don't dwell on it. Don't sulk in it.
I think that it can also be really counterproductive. If you got a partner or somebody in your life that fosters the negativity, and sometimes you can't avoid it. Like something doesn't go your way. If you're competing at the games, you know, I remember plenty of those experiences. It could be in training. It could be anywhere in life. Stuff's going to happen that doesn't go your way. Vent, talk about it, acknowledge it. I'll do the same. I'll listen to you. We'll work through some potential solutions, some way to get over it. But after that, like, now I'm done. We're not just going to sit here and go in circles about, you know, I'm not going to feed the negativity. Like, we'll get to a point, we've got kind of a solution. Now we're going to put it behind us and move on. There's no benefit to going in circles about something that is negative, and focusing on it isn't helpful. So it's like, you know, let's just acknowledge it. How do we move forward? And then let's keep stepping forward.
Yeah, I think that's a skill to learn, because I would say that you taught me that, or you helped me lean into it. And I think that if you feel like maybe that's not something that you've mastered, that you tend to like to dwell on things or circle, it's okay. Just start to become aware of it. And that's something that I've worked really hard on. And a lot of times for me, that positive attitude can pair with patience. And I'll start to feel a little bit negative or frustrated when, you know, maybe I set this goal for myself and I'm not quite to that goal. And so I think that's where patience really comes into play with our mindset. Is oftentimes like we want to set these goals, but we want to achieve them right away. We want to achieve it within a week. We don't understand maybe the ups and downs that are going to come along with it, the roller coaster ride, the journey. And really that's what makes those goals even more special. So I think staying patient and true to yourself and just continuing to show up and stay committed and consistent can be really beneficial.
Everybody wants everything right now. You know, with especially like with social media right now, everything's just instant. I mean, not even social media, just everything. You can order an Uber and it'll be your house in a couple minutes. You can get fast food in 2 seconds. Like everything just happens fast. And I think that the people who can settle in for the long road and just know that it's going to take time end up being the ones that are the best off. And I think it also just makes it more enjoyable knowing that it's not going to happen fast. And, you know, if you are the one who can outweight everybody else, basically, or outgrind everybody else, just patiently, not being in a rush, just chipping away, there's so much benefit to that.
How many times did you have that conversation with people at the gym when they were wanting to get a certain lift or achieve a certain skill, or maybe run a certain distance that they'd never run, or run a time that they've never run? I feel like we had those conversations over and over because everybody struggles with it. So if you're struggling with just wanting to hit that goal, just know that you're not alone. It's a very common thing. And that's where we have to kind of work on that mental chatter to keep us going.
I would tell everybody, every single person who came in who we were teaching the snatch or the clean and jerk to, that this is something that's going to take a lot of time to learn. It's going to be frustrating, but for almost everybody, you are more than likely going to really enjoy one of these. And it is because it's hard, and it is because it takes time. And I think at the beginning, it is really frustrating. It's something that kind of, you watch somebody do and it looks simple. Like, I can do that. And even with a PVC pipe or light barbell, it's like, I don't even know what my body is doing right now. And people can be a little bit frustrated with themselves, just being like, I feel like I should be able to do that. But if you can be patient, work on the basics, not prioritize the weight, like, you will be able to do this, and then it'll become satisfying and enjoyable. And then you can build and build and build and get better and better and better. And that progress is satisfying, but it's going to take time. It's not going to happen today. You're not going to be squat snatching very much weight next week, next month. Like, it's going to take time.
Yeah, something along those lines. I remember from a book that I read. I would encourage you guys to read it. It's a short, easy read. It's called Pound the Stone. And it has that same idea behind it. And this is something that I read when I was in the thick of training, that every rep, every set, every setback, they all continue to add up. And it's kind of like this, I think it's called the Stone Cutter's Creed or something. So basically you have these stone cutters like trying to pound the stone, trying to break the stone. And they might break it on the 100th blow, but they didn't break it on the 99th. And it's not that single blow that broke the stone, but it was all 100 reps. So all of those 99 reps before that actually got them to their goal. And that was something that I used to remind myself of is no matter what happens, if it's a setback, if it's a set, if it's a rep, whatever it is, everything you're doing is adding up. And it's just continuing to show up and continuing to stay consistent and continuing to stay committed, even when maybe your mind's tired or your body's tired or you just don't feel motivated today.
I think that leads into the difference between motivation and discipline. And motivation's great when you have it, but when you don't have it, it's a problem. And I think that's where discipline comes in, and understanding that, motivation will come and go, but doing something when you don't want to is the difference between making progress and backtracking or skipping workouts or missing track sessions or falling off your diet. And momentum goes both ways. Once you skip once, you skip twice, and that snowball starts rolling the opposite direction. And discipline is the thing that keeps momentum going in the direction that you want it to continue building momentum, whether you're motivated or not.
Yeah, I couldn't agree with that more. Momentum is a very positive thing, but it can also become negative. Like you're saying is, we always like to say, like, don't have two negatives in a row. And so when we say two negatives, it's like maybe you go out with friends, you have a great meal and you enjoy yourself. You maybe have a drink, whatever. You're just enjoying it. And then the next morning you wake up, you get back on track. You have your normal breakfast, you eat clean, you go back to the foods that you're normally eating. And a lot of times this can even be challenging because that one meal is like, oh my gosh, it tasted so good. I just want to go out to breakfast this morning, or I want to go out to dinner again tonight. And then it can just become this habit and this routine that all of a sudden you don't recognize that you're falling into. So that momentum has kind of shifted. And that's where discipline definitely plays that role, is like trying to avoid those two negatives. So enjoy it, but then you're back on track. And that's discipline. You got yourself back on track, even when maybe you wanted to go out to eat again.
Whether we are going out to eat or not going out to eat. Like if we're super busy and we're just working a ton and we go a couple weeks without going out to eat, it's almost like it doesn't sound as appealing. It's like we're in a good routine. We've got our food prepped. It's easy. We feel good. And it's like, I could kind of take it or leave it going out to eat. And we've got a couple really good restaurants where the food's fantastic. It's super clean. Like it doesn't feel like we're kind of getting out of our routine too much. But even just going out once makes it sound better the next night. And you can see how easily that can snowball if you don't have the discipline to be like, whatever my goal is, maybe we go out to eat once a week. Is that what you set for yourself? It's like, then we go out once a week. We don't go out twice a week.
Yeah, that happened to us just recently. I came home and was like, man, I just want to go back. It was so good. I don't want to have dinner here tonight, even though we have a fully stocked fridge. And I know once we make it and we sit down and we eat it, we'll enjoy it. I think this is also something that people commonly experience during the holiday season. And that's because all of a sudden, like maybe you don't have cookies around that much. You might have a cookie here and there, but then the holidays come and all of a sudden, every time you turn the corner in your office, there's another tray of cookies. And it's like, oh, I'll just have another one. And then you'll be amazed. January comes and you're like, I can't kick these cravings. I am craving so many things. And it's just because it becomes that negative momentum and that you just don't realize it at times. And it can be harder to break that. And so having the discipline to just stay on track, even when you really don't want to, if that motivation is waning, is just going to be very, very important. And I think there's a couple things that you can work on with your mindset to help you with that discipline. One, just being aware. Patrick and I are aware, like, we love to go out, but we also love to eat clean, and we love how eating clean, we love our routine, we love how that makes us feel. And so it's kind of funny, like we hold each other accountable for one. We went out one night and the next night I was like, you want to go out again? And Patrick was like, no, not tonight. And I'm like, I know you're right. We have a whole fridge full of food. So it's just having that accountability buddy, but then also just kind of recognizing those patterns and trying to stop yourself and catch yourself and ask yourself, like, is this decision that I'm making actually helping me get towards my goals?
What was our next bullet point?
Hard work.
But you can't get anywhere without hard work.
Yeah, no, I think hard work with the mindset piece, I think that one is more about, again, showing up when you don't feel like it, but also putting in the work when no one's watching. And I think a lot of times, especially in today's social media realm, it's like people, like you just can't wait to just put this highlight reel on social media. You can't wait to show the world what you did because now you're getting that external validation. And I think that sometimes can overshadow the work that you're doing and the process and the journey that you're on. And that you need to be doing it for yourself and to achieve this goal. And you're going to get so much more out of that than just constantly looking for that external validation.
For us, we largely have trained fairly alone. We've definitely done like big groups and stuff like that, but kind of juggling multiple businesses along with training, it just, our schedules didn't always line up. And I think that we've definitely gotten accustomed to that and doing track sessions by ourselves, doing gym sessions when nobody's in the gym or we're just in our garage. And it doesn't matter if anybody's watching or not, or there's people there for motivation or not. The work's just got to be put in. And like, you have to work hard, whether somebody's with you, somebody's watching, or you're completely by yourself.
And along that topic, I think that it's really easy to get caught up in wanting to go towards something new, shiny, different, and not staying consistent. So hard work is also staying committed. And I think staying committed is just as hard as the work itself. And I think that we see that super, super often. People just want to bounce around. Like maybe they're not seeing the results that they want, so they just want to jump to the next thing. And then they want to jump to the next thing. And they never actually give themselves a fair shot to see whatever they've been doing through. And I think that that was something that I had to learn also, is like on social media, you'll see all these different things. And it's understanding that a lot of times success comes from those same daily activities that you just continue to do repetitively. And those are what's lying the foundation and the building blocks for you to achieve your goal. And a lot of times it's just understanding that you just have to keep showing up. And what are you going to tell yourself on the days you don't want to show up? And so we even see this with styles of training. We'd have this conversation over and over with people in the gym.
We've seen a lot of people that come in, and the ones that tend to make the most progress are the ones that aren't worried so much about maybe the in-between nuances, but just show up and just work hard and do the work. And they do that no matter what, whether they got a good night of sleep, whether their kids, were sick or whatever is going on, they still show up and they still work hard no matter what the outside circumstances are.
Yeah, I think the last piece along those lines that I think this fits into that is, maybe I'm jumping around a little bit, but what do you tell yourself on the days that are hard? Like what actually goes on between your ears, right? So like you said, if your kids are sick, you didn't get a lot of sleep at night, but you still show up and you work hard. There's two kind of narratives that you can tell yourself. Like one, I'm just exhausted. I don't want to be here. I'm just feeling super negative. I don't even know why I came. It's just not a good workout. The other is that, hey, I'm proud of myself for showing up, even though things aren't ideal. I'm still making more out of what I'm doing today than if I didn't show up. And I think that it's starting to be aware of the thoughts that you're having, whether it's a situation like that where maybe you didn't get a bunch of sleep, whether you've just been feeling really tired, whatever it is, it's just being aware of the thoughts that you're having in the middle of those workouts, because positive self-talk is going to drive you. It's going to help you reach those goals, where negative self-talk is just going to pull you back and it's just going to spiral you.
It's interesting because I wonder if this is like a male-female difference, or if it's we're just different in that aspect. But I don't think I give myself a lot of positive self-talk, and not that I'm not positive. I think that have a very positive outlook on things. It's naturally kind of the direction that I lean, but I think I'm just much more practical. And for me in those situations, it's much more of just, is this going to get me closer to my goal or further from my goal? Or if I committed to something, like, why am I not doing this? Do I not want to reach my goal, or am I not actually committed to the thing I said that I wanted to do? And I think that goes for fitness, diet, business, like whatever you want to apply it to. If you said that you were not going to eat pizza and you're looking at a piece of pizza, like, maybe I'll just have one piece. It's like, for me, I don't need to give myself like positive self-talk. Like, you're doing great. Just like, you cannot eat it. It's like, no, like I said, don't. Like, you're going further away from your goal if you eat the pizza. And that may not be like, for me, it's not like necessarily a real example, but I think it's very easy to kind of wrap your head around, in the sense of maybe how we kind of go about those challenges or those positions, very differently, apparently.
Yeah, we definitely go around that differently. And I love that you brought that up, because I think that everybody's brains function different. And I personally am always like, is there something wrong with me? Like, do I just think really different? But it's okay to think differently than somebody else, and to recognize that you have to figure out what helps you succeed. And we're all not the same. And I love that you brought that up, because that is so important. I think whether it's the styles of training that we're doing, how we're training, how we motivate ourselves, how we stay disciplined, our systems to keep in place, like, we're all different, and there's no one approach fits all. And we've seen that with nutrition. We've seen that with fitness. What I would love to know though is like, okay, so say that you're really deep into a really hard workout. We've done some really hard workouts together, and some of them have been long and grueling. Some of them been a little bit shorter, just maybe like more just like run through the wall type of workouts. What goes through your head when you start experiencing, like, what kind of mindset do you have? Let's start with the long, grueling one first. So when we did Clovis, that was 10 rounds of a 1 mile run on the Assault Runner and 15 burpee pull-ups. Do you remember doing that workout together?
Oh, yeah.
We also did 1,000 burpees for time. What kind of mindset did you have during those 2 workouts?
I think, again, I lean back to being like practical. So it's just breaking it down into small chunks, and it's maybe 5 reps at a time, whatever it is, just 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, check it off. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, check it off. And finding just a rhythm to keep things moving. And there may be a little bit of negative self-talk. There's definitely no positive self-talk.
You guys, I live with the most practical husband ever. Okay, so for me, when I'm having those, I'm like thinking all of this positive self-talk things. Like, as soon as something negative comes into my mind, I'm like,
start saying those out loud. I could maybe use a little bit of it.
So it's like we all have the moment, and I'm sure that you just actually touched on this. You had the moment where you might get some negative thoughts. Well, for some of us, for me, if I lean into those, my performance, my attitude, everything will plummet. So I have to get those out of my brain as quickly as I can. And the only way I know how to do that is to shift my thinking. And so start to acknowledge, like, I'm grateful I'm doing this. You are tough, you are strong, like you are capable. And then, okay, you just did 25, let's say 25 burpees, you can do 25 more. Hey, you just ran you ran 200 meters of this mile at a 7-minute pace. Guess what? You can do another 200 meters at that pace. Then you can do another 200 meters. And so it's talking myself into like looking at what you've done and realizing you're capable of doing more than your mind gives you credit for. And I think that that's really, really important. And it's acknowledging, like, it's okay that I'm uncomfortable, but I'm willing to work hard and I'm going to keep working hard. And I think just having something, I remember always focusing on different mantras throughout my years training for the games. And this was something that I would flip to as soon as those negative thoughts came in. If I wasn't at a point that I could be like, oh, I'm grateful I'm out here, right? Sometimes that can be really hard when you're hurting really, really bad. So I had pre-practice that I would practice during training sayings that I would just flip to, and I just repeat. So there's no space for these negative thoughts to come in. So one of them was, I can and I will. 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 And I would just repeat that to myself over and over. I can do this and I will do this. And I remember there were certain instances at the alpaca when I was doing that really heavy front-loaded, oh no, that wasn't the alpaca, it was a different event, but a really heavy front-loaded axle bar lunge. And I just wanted to die. I felt like I was melting on the turf in Madison, Wisconsin. I flipped to, I can and I will. Prior to that, we've talked about this one before, but one of my mantras was, this is better than accounting. For those of you guys that don't know, I used to sit in a cubicle and I was an auditor and I was an accountant, and I would wake up and I would cry on my way to work. I hated it. I didn't want to go to accounting. And so when I'm having these negative thoughts coming in the gym and it's like, I don't want to be doing this right now. It's like, well, guess what? This is better than accounting. Do you want to go back to that? And I would just repeat, this is better than accounting. This is better than accounting. And that got me through my first games where I took 8th. Like, I said that to myself so many times during 2016. So I think for those of you guys, maybe you are practical like Patrick, hey, that works for you. If those negative thoughts don't spiral, I wish I was like you. But if you're like me, where all of a sudden those negative thoughts really do start to spiral, I think that you can practice something. You can practice just a little saying. It should be very short, something that you can just keep repeating that takes your mind off of those negative thoughts.
I think for me, it's not even trying to avoid the negative thoughts necessarily or lean into the positive. I think being a little bit more practical, it's avoiding the highs and the lows. So I like problem and solution, and I see so much benefit to that in the ability to make progress moving forward. So I think almost mentally, I'm just trying to stay a little bit closer to the middle and just solve the problem. So if something's bothering me, what do I need to do? Just break things down a little bit, and I think that seems like if you don't want to go to the gym, it's like you start coming up with excuses, and then instead of leaning into those and, justifying why it's an excuse not to go to the gym, it's identifying what the problem is. I don't want to go, and not leaning into that to justify it more. It's, what's the solution? Am I going to do this or not do this? My goal is to go. I said I'm going to go. The gym is part of the plan. I'm going to the gym. So I think just avoiding some of the bigger emotional swings makes it a little bit easier to stay on track. And I'm sure everybody's wired a little bit differently, and that's not going to be the same for everybody. But normally I think in the middle ground, it just stays a little bit easier to be consistent.
I do agree with avoiding the highs and lows. I think that alone, it can just keep you more stable and make you feel better. And so if you notice that you're riding this emotional roller coaster, which I had tended to do in the past, trying to stay more in the middle is really going to help. And if you're not sure, just try to pay attention to like your mood. Like, are you noticing some days that workout can drastically affect your attitude in the rest of your life, or in a positive or a negative way? And it's just kind of staying in the middle and understanding like, what are your goals and how am I going to achieve those goals? And understanding that some days you might feel unstoppable and some days you might feel like crap. You might feel like poop, and that's okay.
And I think in the bigger picture, how you felt for any individual workout is the least important part. The fact that you showed up and you put the work in time after time far outweighs how you felt on any individual day.
Yeah, I think that is definitely something that people can lose sight of. And I know that I lose sight of that myself at times. It's like, when I show up, whether I'm training for something or not, I want to have a perfect workout. I want to hit the weights that I think that I'm capable of hitting. I want to feel really awesome. And in the grand scheme of things in life, especially as we continue to get older, like that's just not the case. But I think also with mindset, we could talk about getting older. And this is something that you and I have talked a lot about. Age is just a number, and we're still capable, and we're still, I've set new PRs this year, and I'm obviously the oldest that I've ever been. That sounds silly to say, but we're still capable. And we have people come into the gym and say, oh, I just can't do that. They're putting these limitations on themselves. They haven't even tried yet. It's just not having the confidence or the mindset to be open-minded and give it a try. So I think my entire point with even just kind of bringing that age piece in is what we tell ourselves matters. Like, your thoughts matter. And the more that we can be consistent, the more that we can be committed, the more that we're going to breed confidence. And I think that the other piece that you and I talk about is belief. And I believe that I just said that a lot of times. So I really strongly believe that you have to believe in yourself, and you have to have kind of like this belief mindset that you can achieve it to even give yourself a shot. If you don't believe that you even have a chance, I feel like you're just starting, 5 steps back.
I think framing it that way can also be really helpful, because it should take away a lot of the excuses for people. If your goal is to lose 10 pounds and you believe you can lose 10 pounds, but you are knowingly taking actions that are moving in the opposite direction, you should be able to acknowledge that's just self-sabotage. And it's like, you got nobody to blame but yourself. So if you know you can get there, you believe you can get there, you have a roadmap to get there, but you're just going to go a different way just because you feel like it, like that's on you.
And I believe that circles back to what we started with: patience, dedication, and discipline, and trusting the process, which falls into patience. Is if you're self-sabotaging, like you believe you can lose those 10 pounds, which we're all capable of doing things, but we're not willing to stay committed and consistent and trust in the process and be patient to actually lose those 10 pounds, because there is no genie in a bottle that's going to snap their fingers and just take 10 pounds right off of you. It's going to come from hard work, dedication, and discipline. And that's where all of these things continue to just encompass this overall mindset, where I think it's important to also understand that maybe one gives and takes, right? We all have chapters and seasons in our life, and maybe we're just not as sharp in one area, and that's okay. But the goal is to continue working on all areas to have a strong, bulletproof mindset.
So if you guys can take something away from this, I think it would be really helpful to write down what your goals are, write down the things, maybe 4 or 5 bullet points that are going to be the foundational things that are going to help you get there, and use that as a reminder to stay on track, to stay locked in, to stay positive, and to stay committed.
And remember, it's always a work in progress. Just continue working at it day in and day out. If you guys enjoyed this podcast, we hope that you found some value in it. Don't forget to like, share, send it to a friend who maybe you think could use a little help with their mindset, or maybe you just want to hear them, or you want them to hear this and it might add some value to their life as well. So we hope you guys have enjoyed it, and we look forward to catching up with you on the next one.